Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar on bedbug treatment. And we will be getting started here in just a second. You can see that this is going to be a joined webinar between Wil-Kil Pest Control and Holders Pest Solutions. Wil-Kil services the upper Midwest, and Holders services the Houston, Texas market. Both companies are owned by Copasan. Both are operating companies that work together. So it's a joined venture here with both Wil-Kil and Holders. So what we're going to do is, today is going to be solely focused on the treatment options for bed bugs. We're going to cover a few different options that are treatment options that work good for when you're hiring out a company. We'll also discuss some of the things that homeowners or the everyday person can attempt. We'll go over some of the good and the bad of all of them, and then we'll also discuss some of the best practices, the industry standards of treatments, and then we'll have time at the end too where you can type in questions. If at any time audio difficulties or anything, please send in a chat message on your toolbar. There's a spot where you can send in a message. There's also a raise your hand function as well. So if you have any difficulties or want to send a question in, feel free to do that as we go here. So as we're starting, and we run across bed bugs, whether it's hospitality, single-family homes, apartments, care facilities, a couple things to do before you even get to the point of getting that treatment is definitely call your service provider. You want to talk with a professional. It's something that definitely needs to be handled by a professional company. Bed bugs are not something that the average person can find too much success with treating. We always relay the message to not panic. It's something that it kind of gets overlooked, and bed bugs definitely cause that raise that hysteria. But just make sure to relax, not panic. You want to get in touch with your service provider, and then when you're on the phone, if this is the first time dealing with this pest, when you're talking with your service provider, definitely do a lot of questions, figure out the pros and cons of each service. Any kind of warranty details, how long the treatment's going to take, what preparations need to be made. Go over a long list of questions that you can ask before you actually get that treatment scheduled. For bed bugs, there's many different types of treatments. Each has their own place. Some situations will require a different treatment than others. We always go into a bed bug service and approach our clients with telling them that there's no one true treatment. Everything is a different situation. Every bed bug treatment is unique. For occupied units, the residents, the clutter or belongings in a unit definitely play in a role of what kind of treatment we would recommend. So we're going to cover those treatments right now and give you some of the pros and cons of each. First, for professional options, steam treatment is a useful treatment. Basically what we're doing is that high temperature, anything over 120 degrees kills all stages of bed bugs. So steam is a professional option. A very time-consuming, tedious treatment where you're putting this high temperature steam into harbored areas of bed bugs. There is a lot of room for error with this type of treatment where we can't treat every item in a room with the steam. We are using a very, very high temperature during this treatment, so there is a little room for even some damage to some materials. So it is something to be cautious of when you're using this type of service because we're not going to be treating everything that could have bed bugs on them. Similar to steam is kind of the opposite temperature-wise is the cryonite temperature treatment. This would be freezing. So the equipment is brought in, and we are releasing a cold temperature that's shooting out of that machine. Similar to the steam, you're limited on where we can apply that steam or that freeze to. Harbage areas of most things like mattresses and box springs can be hit, but then there's also personal items, books, TVs, alarm clocks, things like that can't get that freeze without damaging. So it is something that it has its place. A few companies go this route, but it does have some disadvantages of not getting to all areas. A lot of people ask us if we can just put a mattress outside, take that furniture outside in the winter, is that going to get a kill effect on bed bugs? The kind of rule of thumb is we want 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below for 3 to 4 days. If we can achieve that, then we can get some kill effect on bed bugs. But with mattresses, and furniture, there's a lot of stuffing and things that can get that bed bug warmed up enough where it's not getting that lethal temperature exposure, even if it has been outside for a few days. So freezing is an option, but definitely has a lot of limitations on it. The conventional treatment, or pesticide only, this is a very popular route to go. Definitely the plus side of this type of treatment is usually going to be cost. It's usually going to be one of the lower cost treatments to do, whether it's a hotel, an apartment unit, or a care facility. Lower infestations is where you'll find the best success with pesticide only, and typically isolated to one bedroom or one area of the unit. Once there is a high infestation, multiple areas, then pesticides by themselves do find their limitations. The one thing that we're always conscious of when we use pesticides is rotating our products, different types of pesticides, liquids and aerosols and dusts, and also different formulations. Bedbugs will be able to build up resistance to products if they're continually exposed to it. And if they don't get a kill effect, then they are going to reproduce into other bed bugs that will have that built-up immunity to them. So pesticides are good in certain situations, but they do have limitations based on the bed bugs being resistant to some of them. The next option is a heat treatment, thermal remediation, high temperature. This is going to be one of the industry standards for treatment options, regardless of size of infestation or type of dwelling. This is typically the most effective, the higher cost treatment, but there is a quicker turnaround. For the hospitality industry, it's nice where these rooms can be treated and then back in service within 24 hours. The quick turnaround for your residents, if it's in an apartment building, the residents are spending less time living in a unit with potential live bed bugs. Higher infestations, widespread throughout the dwelling is where this is going to find its success and be warranted. The larger infestations especially, this will get a quick kill. So the heat treatment, we're looking to get over 120 degrees. It's everywhere throughout the unit, and that's what's going to get our kill on eggs and all stages of bed bugs. And now kind of looking at some of the other options that people always ask us about and bring to our attention. We see a lot of homeowners and even some apartment managers, maintenance staff of hotels and apartments kind of do the do-it-yourself, the over-the-counter product route. These usually are not effective to get kill effects on bed bugs. The hot shot bed bug flea Bedbug and flea fogger. This is a popular one that anybody can get their hands on down at a department or a hardware store. It's really not very effective at all. These foggers do have a tendency to release and then actually move bed bugs around the unit, also increasing the chance that you could get some push effect, where a bed bug may get pushed because of that fogger release and go into another unit, go deeper into a harborage area, behind a baseboard, or into wall voids. So it really just puts a Band-Aid on the problem. It does not give a good solution. Rubbing alcohol. A lot of people have came to realize or heard that rubbing alcohol will kill a bed bug, which is true. It will kill a bed bug on contact, but it also has a very high risk for problems down the road. It has a huge fire hazard effect if you're spraying too much of this rubbing alcohol around a unit. So it is something that we don't recommend residents or homeowners ever use. It's not a very safe product to be using for bed bug control. Some of the other products, dust. A lot of people can get their hands on diatomaceous earth, which is a powder pesticide. It does have a place in bed bug treatments, but it really is meant to be wall voids, inaccessible areas, and a lot of people misuse the dust pesticides. In turn, cause some health problems as well as drying out your skin and inhalation problems. So we want to stay away from these do-it-yourself kind of applications. And as much as harm that can come from mistreating the product, misusing the product to yourself, it also can cause some damage to even the dwelling, the building itself. A news story that we share frequently when we do education for bed bugs. It has a great headline, which the situation's not funny, but I always love this headline. Woman apologizes for accidental Detroit apartment fire over bed bugs. So this is something at least she apologized for, but she missed or displaced about 200 residents, as I read through the story here. And what happened is this woman was having treatments for bed bugs by a company. They were doing the chemical treatments, but they weren't getting very much success, and she just had enough. So she literally sprayed rubbing alcohol top to bottom in her unit, all over the walls, the furniture, every square inch of her unit she was spraying rubbing alcohol, and the pilot light of her stove ignited her unit, and in turn caught the whole building on fire. So this is something I always show to residents when we do education and homeowners, that it's something we definitely want to avoid. And the home remedies. This one, we always get these brought to our attention. Sleeping in a different room. So bed bugs are able to be attracted to humans, that human host. They can find their blood meal by the CO2 that we're exhaling. Our body heat and our natural human body odor is how they're finding us. So if I have bed bugs in my bedroom and I choose to just start sleeping in a neighboring bedroom or out in the living room, these bed bugs will eventually pick up on that. They will find us. They're known to travel several yards to find a host. So this is not a good control option at all, and this will just spread the problem throughout the unit. Glue boards. Glue boards are a monitoring tool, not a treatment method. Glue boards are used in situations where we're monitoring either after a treatment for ongoing activity, or if there's a suspicion of infestation, we'll use glue boards or other monitors just for monitoring. It's not a treatment method. And the one that we see a lot in apartments and senior living is the dryer sheets stuffed in the bed or stuffed in the couch cushions. The old wives' tale that dryer sheets will repel bed bugs, and they won't come by us if we have those. That's exactly false, exactly the old wives' tale. So the only thing that does is just make your couch and your bed smell a little fresher, but definitely does not do anything for bed bugs. So we're going to compare a couple different treatments. The treatments that we're going to compare are the conventional, which is pesticide only, and also the high temperature heat treatment. These two are the most popular treatments that are used for any pest control company. If they have their own heating equipment, most companies will offer some type of pesticide conventional. But these are the two most popular choices here, and just for comparison purposes, the heat treatment typically is going to have limited preparations for the resident or the homeowner for occupied units. Hotel rooms will not have any prep at all for heat. Compared to the conventional, this is going to be a lot of work by residents and homeowners, a lot of laundry, a lot of decluttering units. There's a higher probability that furniture may have to be disposed of just because of the size of the infestation or what is infested. When we use that pesticide, the label of the product tells us where we can apply it, how we can apply it. Depending on what's infested, it may be something we can't spray that pesticide on, where the heat treatment can get onto anything. So that's where the differences in prep's going to be and where we apply. Heat's more of a one-day service, whether it's a hotel, apartment, care facility, single-family home, typically about a 7 to 8 hour process. Where the conventional treatment, pesticides only, is usually multiple visits, at least 2 visits of application, sometimes 3. And then you see 10 to 15 days apart. So if I'm doing conventional treatment, do the initial service, and then about 2 weeks later, the technician would be back. So in that time frame, there is a chance of live activity still being going on when we're doing pesticides only. Mattress and box spring encasements are a mandatory part of conventional treatments as an optional part for heat. And then the warranty involved with heat compared to conventional is there. A lot of pesticide-only treatments do not have any kind of parachute warranty to protect you if live bugs are found after that final agreed-upon visit. And this goes in a little more detail on the preparations, the heat, removing combustibles, things that melt, so fire extinguishers, aerosol cans, candles, those items would have to be removed, fresh fruits and veggies, and anything like that, live plants, fish in the aquarium, things like that would have to be removed for the day. Where pesticide only, it's more relying on the tenants to clean up and make sure that all their laundry's done, moving things away from the walls, kind of rearranging some furniture so the technician has the best access to treat all areas, bagging and seal the clothes, the encasements, all that is what would be asked upon by a resident. So we're going to just get into a little more detail on the industry standard of treatments, which is that high temperature heat treatment. We'll go through an example of some equipment that is being used. There's many different types of heat treatments available from different companies. Some have different equipment, different ways the equipment's ran. Here's a typical setup. Electric heaters and electric fans that would be brought in to do the service, typically coming in a unmarked trailer such as this that would house the generator that would supply the power for the heaters. So an equipment setup like this, there's no heat being pumped into the unit, whether it's a hospital setting, care facility, hotel, apartment, single-family home. These heaters are actually producing that high temperature. This situation, the unmarked truck and trailer are brought on site. A typical dwelling that this unit can handle, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, standard size hotel rooms, depending on the layout and the floor plan, some 3-bedroom apartments. But this is what the situation looks like when that truck comes on site. For this situation, this truck handles about 300 feet of power cord to get from the trailer, which houses the generator. That power cord will then run to the heaters to supply the power for the heaters. This is something to consider when in the hospitality setting, if the windows do not open in your building, finding a different way to run that power cord. Sometimes it's just running down the hallway to a stairwell and out a door. But ideally, we're lowering that power cord out a window down to the trailer and have been as high as 25 floors up in the air. So this is something to consider when you're scheduling that heat service. Parking is definitely something to consider. Where is that trailer going to be parked? Do we have access to the windows? And where we're going to run that power cord. In a typical heat setup, this is a 2-bedroom apartment example. We have the heat trailer parked outside and that power cord running into the unit. And then 4 heaters are strategically placed throughout the unit. Typically, we'll do 1 in each bedroom and the other 2 in the living room and other areas of the home. And these heaters will be moved around throughout the day depending on where the heat is needed. Also brought in are fans that will push and penetrate that lethal temperature into the mattress, into the walls, into the furniture. That's what's really going to get your lethal temperature into all those areas, is these high-powered fans that just run off the outlets that are in the unit. On treatment day, the technician would be on site for the duration from start to finish. And once we reach our lethal temperatures, the technician is entering the unit, usually for about 5 to 10 minutes at a time in 135-degree heat. And we're manipulating the environment. The technician will physically remove with a pest vacuum any live bugs that are found. And then he'll be continually rotating and moving furniture, moving items, to ensure that all these areas get that lethal temperature of 135 degrees. So we move the heaters in certain situations into closets to make sure the temperatures get into closets. And throughout the bedrooms, we have the mattress and the box spring TP'd, standing up to make sure that they are getting that lethal temperature all the way around. So if this treatment is done and that mattress and box spring are just laying flat as they normally would, between the mattress and box spring would not get past 120 degrees where we need that lethal temperature to reach. If you can see on top of these heaters, there is a little plastic device on top of the heater. Those are their temperature sensors. So if we scale back to this picture, there would be temperature sensors spread out throughout the entire unit. And those temperature sensors will send a signal to a laptop that's outside the unit. You can see on the bottom of the picture there's where the laptop would be. And that way, as the technician's on site during the treatment, he can monitor in real time exactly what temperatures we're getting, what needs to be adjusted, where we're getting enough heat, where we need to move some heaters and fans. So that's all part of the heat treatment process, is to monitor those temperatures and continually manipulate the environment. So typically what we want to achieve is over 120 degrees is our first mark, and then 135 degrees will be held for 5 to 6 hours. That's kind of just for a standard treatment. It all depends too on the size of the infestation. If the infestation is very large and spread out, the temperatures would be held a little longer, but typically 5 to 6 hours, 135 degrees. And we catch back up here to the heat treatment. This is from a unit that didn't have any furniture, but as we were doing the service, you can see there's the carpets have been pulled up where the infestation was on baseboards, carpet edges. So that's where the heat treatment was focused, to make sure that our lethal temperatures were getting into all those areas where the bed bugs were hiding. In a residential setting or a hotel room with a large bed, maybe not a lot of room to move, a small room. Here's a king-size bed where it has been propped up on the 2 twin box springs, and this will be moved around throughout the day. The box springs will all be rotated. Blankets and linens will be moved around just so everything reaches that lethal temperature. So the treatment process itself, it's definitely the 3 keys that we find are get up to temperature, monitor those temperatures, move the air, and that's a continuing, ongoing process where we're monitoring what temperatures we're getting on our computer via the temperature sensors and continuing moving and adjusting to where we need to go. So compared to if we remember the bed bug foggers and bombs that we discussed, where you have the potential to push a bed bug maybe into a deeper harborage area, when we bring these temperatures of a room up to lethal, it's in a time where the bed bugs don't have time to react. The temperatures are brought up quick enough where they're not able to move into other areas, they're not able to get and move into off a bed or into a wall void. So we can eliminate the chance of those bugs moving to other areas. And throughout the day, what that technician is also doing is the treatment himself, inspecting surrounding units, and also accompanying a pesticide application into adjoining units on common walls, hallways, common rooms, really depending on the situation and the dwelling. There would be some other pesticide applications as well if it's an apartment compared to a hotel or a single-family home. So contact information for any future questions. We have both of the Wil-Kil Pest Control email address, bedbugs@wilkil.com, and then for those in the Holders area, the Houston, Galveston area, bedbugs@holderspestsolutions.com. And at this time, we'll feel free to open it up to questions. If anybody has a question that they would like me to cover again, something that maybe I went a little fast through, or something to revisit, maybe get into a little more detail on, please feel free to type in your question or hit the hand raise button, and we'll get those answered and share with the group. Okay, we have our first question would be, what would be some of the red flags of a poor company or a company? What would be some red flags when we're talking with a company trying to schedule a bed bug treatment? A few things that you're definitely going to want to look for is ask what type of treatments they offer, for one. Definitely want to go into details on the preparation. What's realistic expectations of before and after that service? If simple things like that can't be answered, that would definitely be a red flag. If the company doesn't offer bed bug services, but they agree to give it a try, I mean, that's something that we've heard of in the past, something I would stay away from. An easy thing to do is to go to websites of the company. If they're not promoting their bed bug services or their bed bug department, it would be something that they're probably not very experienced in. So that would be one of the first few things I would look for when choosing a company for a bed bug treatment. Okay, so we have another question here that came up. The question is, are there any tips or ideas of how to protect oneself if the person knows that they're going into a highly infested environment? So this could be a care person, a nurse, a property manager, or anybody going into an occupied unit where there's either a suspicion or a confirmed case of bed bugs in the unit. So a couple tips: the disposable shoe covers, shoe booties, is always a great idea to put those over your shoes before you enter the unit. Definitely, we don't want to take in any purses, backpacks, bags, or coats and leave them anywhere. Highly infested units, it wouldn't be uncommon for bed bugs to be on a dining room table or a kitchen table or the living room furniture. So we don't want to bring those personal items in and set those anywhere in the unit. We definitely don't want to be sitting on the furniture and having our conversation there with the resident. So limiting our personal belongings, wearing those shoe coverings are a couple of really easy things to do. And just be mindful of where we're walking, where we're stepping throughout the unit. Bed bugs are going to be in highly infested situations. Bed bugs could be anywhere. They could be on the carpet. They could be on the walls and the ceilings. In most situations, we're not just going to walk into a unit and pick up bed bugs on our feet, but if we know it's a highly infested area, then we could definitely pick something up just from walking through the carpet. All right. It doesn't look like there's any more questions right now. If anybody has any questions that pop up later in the day or at any time, please feel free to use any of the two web or email addresses that are listed on the screen. Both Holders and Wil-Kil have our own bed bug department and specially trained service personnel to answer any of those questions in detail. So please feel free to just send any questions through either the email addresses listed below. Please look forward to future webinars as well. This is the treatment webinar, but down the road we should look for some other inspecting and webinars for bed bug information. And with that, we want to thank everybody for joining and spending the time to take this info in. If there was any situations in the future, please feel free to contact Wil-Kil Pest Control or Holders Pest Solutions right away, and we'd be happy to help. Thank you, everybody.